In this review we'll look at a couple of accessories from industrial scale models. The first is the MSD 4500R scrap shears, and then we'll take a look at the double Grouser track set. Like most accessories, the scrap shear comes in fairly simple packaging. It consists of a simple plain white box with a label, and inside the part is wrapped in soft paper. There's plenty of it too, and maybe green is this season's fashion colour. The only part in the box is the scrap shear, and there's no instructions with it. The part itself is metal and it rotates fully. And the other working feature is that the shears are controlled by a hydraulic cylinder and they can be open and closed fully. The other nice aspect is the detailing, including bolt heads in the casting, and the graphics are also very good and detailed. The 4500 scrap shears are designed for machines in the 50 to 70 tonne weight range, but we'll fit them here to a slightly larger WSI Hitachi ZX870 excavator. The ISM part is supplied with brass nuts and bolts, but there are already black nuts and bolts securing the bucket on the WSI excavator. But although it would have been nicer to reuse the WSI nuts and bolts to fit the part is really designed for a smaller excavator than the big Hitachi, so the WSI bolts don't fit. Moving on to fit the scrap shears onto the excavator, and really assembly doesn't get much simpler than this. Just like anything else, you need to hold the part with your fingers and push it through the hole. After a little bit of fiddling about, you can get the two bolts located, and then it's just a simple matter to put the nuts on the end and to tighten them up. And the only small issue that leaves you with is that the brass nuts and bolts are a little more visible than the black nuts and bolts were. With the scrap shears attached, we can now have a little play around with it. Firstly, because the brass bolts are a smaller diameter, the connection is slightly loose, but it's not a problem. The functionality of the shear is fine with its rotation and opening jaws. But one thing to test is the stability of the model, because the shears are heavy, but even at full extension over the side the model is still balanced. Overall, these are a nicely made item by industrial scale models. The detailing and functionality is good, and as long as you're comfortable with the relatively high price, then it's an easy part to recommend. The second part we'll look at is the 13.5mm double Grouser tracks. And these fit a wide variety of models, and a helpful sheet explains how to configure them for any given model. The pack consists of 2 sets of tracks, each with 47 links each, but if you need a few more, there's also an extension set available with 10 more links. The packaging of the track set is very simple. It's just a label stapled onto a plastic bag, and once you've got the bag open, each of the track sets is just wrapped individually in some soft paper. For the purposes of the review, we'll attach the tracks to a Conrad Liebherr R954C excavator. So let's find out how straightforward that is. The first thing we'll do is take off the existing Conrad metal tracks, and that's easy to do by squeezing the spring-loaded idler and peeling the tracks off. For this particular model, we need to reduce the 47 links in the track set down to 41 by taking 6 out. So to break the links, you turn them at right angles and you can snap them apart. The thing to do here is to pull the link with the narrower chain out from the bottom of the wider adjacent piece, which is notched for the purpose. We then just repeat that process to take out the 6 links that we don't need for fitting the tracks to this particular model. And when that's done, we've now got a piece of track that's the right length to fit the Liebherr excavator. To join the pieces up, you just need to do the reverse and have sufficient strength in your fingers and thumbs to do it. We can now fit the tracks onto the excavator, and the best way to do that is just to hook them over the spring-loaded idler, and then pull on the tracks to depress the spring in the idler and feed the tracks over the sprocket at the other end. Once fitted, the tracks do look very good because they're nice high quality detailed metal parts. The last thing to do is to give them a test, and on the Conrad model there's too much friction on a smooth surface, but on a rough surface they roll very nicely. Overall, this track set is a well made accessory. It looks good and adds detail and is highly recommended.